4, 3, 2, 1. Approximately at the same time, right?
Pretty
but
good.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Tavern Adjacent. Has it been a month since we last had one of these? Yes, it has. All right, look, I had trouble finding guests, okay? But here we are. We have Zach from Zach Speaks Giant. Hey, man.
That's me.
How are you doing? It is you.
I'm
You're
doing
right.
good, man. Thank you for having me on.
This is Zach and Crispy from the future. We'll eventually talk about Dungeons and Dragons at the next timestamp, but we're talking about nonsense now, so enjoy it. Yeah, of course. I mean, I was so excited and happy. So we've been working with Fall for a bit now, and we love doing that, obviously, because she's wonderful. But I would follow her on Instagram, and when I saw you on her story, I was like, oh, that's my in.
I can make the connections. Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
no, it's been really great working with Fall. So I've been guest starring, I guess, a little bit on the One for All channel, which has been really, really fun. Deerstalker is their YouTube channel. One for All is the series. Really fun. They asked me a little while ago. I met them at a thing, and they were like, "Hey, we're always looking for screen actors in Sydney, where we're all based. Do you do screen acting?" And I was like, "Oh, really?" I mean, I've talked on camera.
I can figure it out, baby.
But I can figure it out. How hard can it be? Turns out, kind of difficult, but it's been really fun. They've been very, very welcoming. On my first day actually filming, because I was too used to watching movies of how movies are made, and they go action, and everyone jumps into the thing. And so they had the little thing, and they clapped it, and they went action. And I just started into the mic. I was so nervous, I just started into my lines. And they were like, no, stop. We have to say set, and then we say action. It's not just after the clapper goes. And I was like,
no.
Okay. And there's like a whole crew, and all the rest of the cast there. I'm like, you can just shoot me now if you'd like. You can just end my life.
Yeah, no, they man, I haven't seen my I got family who work on film sets a lot, and I've got like a lot of my, the main reason why people drop my D&D games is because they work in film, and because, film is, I mean, it's a busy life, man. Doesn't matter if you're on the camera, behind it. It's a busy, busy life. So a big reason why like people will drop out my games is because like a lot of the people who play my games work in the film world, and that's busy, man.
Yeah, it's busy, man.
But yeah,
it's the easiest way to come into it as a guest, where you just like come in, you learn like 5 lines, and you're like, blah 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 blah, and everyone's like, thank you so much, and you're like,
yeah, you did it. But like, okay, what was the hardest part of adapting to because the moment you said that, I knew I wanted to ask, what was the hardest part of adapting to working on screen like that? Like, it's a different environment than this.
It's so I've done, I do my own stuff. If you've seen any of my channel, talking straight into the camera, reading off a line, like reading a post or whatever. And then I've also done plenty of on-camera DMing, where I'm like, I've done it on stage, I've done it like for big productions, and that's totally fine. The weirdest part about it was trying to learn lines. It was like that was the fact that it was scripted. Like, I was like, if you just asked me to improv this scene, I'd no problem. Like, I just come up, be a little weird guy, say some jokes, I'd be like, easy. But having to read it out and then act as if I'm not just memorized and reciting a script, it turns out it's hard to act and do all that. It's not easy.
Yeah, I used to do competitive like public speaking, and I did the 2 events I did was like a prose speech where I memorize a story and I like deliver like basically like a one-man play, and then the other event was impromptu. And yeah, they require completely different mentalities when you're going into it. And if you go into it with the same because every time like I'm sitting in a round and I see another competitor who clearly is just like getting into impromptu because they like think it was, because like, I don't know, there's this idea that, oh, it's easy to just improv things out of nowhere.
Just make it up.
Just make it up. No, dude, it's not easy. Like, I can tell when people need that script, but I can also tell when going into prose, like when people are not used to script reading because their delivery just feels unnatural. But I mean, you did a good job. You fit in seamlessly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a lot of work on the front of it. I had to message a bunch of my like proper actor friends being like, "How do you do that?"
Yes.
Like all of it.
Yeah, any of it. Yeah, I've never done anything on screen. I've done some stuff on stage, and that's about it. But like obviously that's another completely different thing than.
Oh,
doing
see,
on
I don't
screen.
think I could do on stage. I think stage would be like stage acting would be so much harder.
Really?
Because like I memorize the lines, but I get them wrong. I have to be like, what was that line again? We like I in between takes, I'm like looking at it again, so it's fresh in my head. You can't do that stuff on stage. You have to like nail the whole thing, top to down.
Well, I got lucky. I had short little scenes, so
Right.
I got like a nice long break between like when I gotta go on for my next 2 minutes, right? That's that's how you think of it. I didn't have any 10-minute monologues. If I had 10-minute monologues, all right, then I'm sweating a little bit.
Yeah. See, this is why people are like the people that have it easiest, the voice actors. They just come in, they read out the lines in front of them.
I mean, both
you
of
know
us
what?
know.
I'm going in. Voice acting is easy. Every voice actor come at me. No, I'm kidding.
both of us do reading stuff, and we both know it's not.
It's hard.
Or at least I find it very
making
difficult because I'm actually really bad at line by line reading. I have poor sight, so like I get lost so easy.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Especially if like I need to. Because also I don't know about you, because I watched a bit of One for All, and I've watched like some of your shorter videos, but like when I'm reading my story bits, like I'm also coming up with like bits and sketches that I can add into the story while I'm reading it. I never read them in advance, and so like my mind's in like 1,000 different places while I'm reading. But so either I do a good solid read where I'm just focusing on the story and I'm not coming up with bits and sketches, which is bad because I need those, or I'm coming up with solid bits and sketches, but my line by line reading is weaker. So I feel like it's just like a not winning situation. I don't know if you struggle with the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm creatively void, so what I do is I just read out the story and then
sick. No, what you do is awesome. You read them on camera. I have a little avatar I can hide behind, so I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like I put in stuff like post editing, like that's where all the like creative decisions, I guess, come into it. There's like my read, and then there's like I put in like little clips, and part of actually what I've been enjoying lately is like using that as a push to make myself better at editing. So figuring out like different tools in After Effects and different like methods of special effects, essentially very basic special effects that I can put into my videos, has been really fun lately. Yeah,
I just found out how to use chroma hold so I could get green screen stuff. Man,
yeah.
It's way easier than I thought it would be. It's just a button I press in the editing program. Why haven't I done this the whole time?
Dude, you gotta look at. Do you have the Adobe stuff?
Okay. Here's the thing. Do you want to know something? I am probably the most stubborn person on the planet. I own the entire Adobe suite, but I refuse to use any of it because I think information deserves to be free. I only use open source programs. So I only use open. So does that hamper me in a lot of ways? Yes. but I have been doing this for 3-4 years now, and I won't stop.
Yeah.
Also, just learning new programs is hard. Like I upload so much, I just don't have time.
Yeah, learning it. So I had this whole thing where I would like anytime I wanted to do like keying something out or creating a plate of something like myself, like cutting myself out in a video, and laying it on top of another thing, I would use a mask and hand pin and like create the mask. Frame by frame, move the mask to cover me. It was so time intensive.
Damn, I know,
it was insane. And every time I'd be like, I think there's a tool on like After Effects that would like do this easier, but like, I've got the way I do it. I don't want to mess with it. And then when I finally looked into it, the time it took me to figure out the new tool, implement it, and have the video done was less time than it took me to do it once the old way. And I was like, I am so angry with myself.
I will be honest though, like I'm the complete opposite. Oh man, in late January, I stay up pretty late working on edits. I'm up until like, I don't know, it's up until like 1. So I was like, okay, let me run this process. I'll wake up in the morning and upload before noon when I upload, and then it'll be good. I wake up in the morning and I see edit failed to export, and I'm like, oh shit. Oh shit. Because I got like 4 hours to figure this out, and I'm like, and it takes like an hour to export, obviously, so I'm like, oh Jesus. All right, well, okay. And I keep on trying. I go to the place in the timeline where it's putting the error. I like take out the key. I don't even remember. I think it was a keyframe. I take it out, export error again at like 97%, by the way. And I'm like, okay, well, it export errored like 3 times to the point where I couldn't even upload the video that day. So I was like, okay, I think I might need to switch, because I have no idea what it is. I might need to switch editing programs, because clearly, like, the amount of, I don't know if it was the skits or whatever, was too load intensive. And so I contacted, you know who One Shot Questers is? Not Zach. Is his name Zach too? No, his name is Duke. His name is Duke.
No,
Duke from One Shot Questers. Duke, I'm so sorry, man. He's been on the channel like so many times. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I contacted Duke because he told me about his editing software and was like talking about it on the show. So I was like, yo, what was that program? He sent it over. I spent like 2 hours trying to learn it, and I gave up so quickly. I was like, fuck this. I can't. I am so used to the way I do things. I'm obsessive. It's bad. It's probably a problem.
Yeah, the little changes make you infuriated. It's so I actually used to work prior to going, I'm now full-time doing YouTube stuff. But prior to, I was working in game dev for about a year.
Well, for who?
So I worked for Summerfall Studios. They're an indie studio in Australia, based in Melbourne. The cool thing about them is that, so basically, David Gator, who wrote...
Dude, you work for Stray Gods?
Yeah.
I love that game! I love that game! Holy shit! Oh my god!
You enjoyed.
That game is awesome. I was like, Summerfall, I know those guys.
It's really, really cool. So yeah, for those that don't know, David Gator, who wrote like all of the Dragon Age games, or the first couple, he worked a bit on Knights of the Old Republic 2, I believe.
Shit. Oh, that's a good one.
Was like moved from the AAA space and then created an indie studio in Melbourne with a couple other people. But I was so happy to work there. Very, very lucky in that I was able to work on the actual dev team. Like, I was working in the cinematic editing. And essentially, if you don't know the game, it's a game told basically entirely in cinematics. It's all dialogue choices, and it's a musical role-playing game where
it's a great game. You all would love it. I'm serious. Yeah, like, I know my audience guys would like this game.
Super, super cool to work on, and really bizarre working in Engine. So essentially, it's like I was working on in the cinematic editor in Unreal Engine, which is like, for an editor, you would get how weird this is, but like, it looks very much like any like other editor. There's the timeline, there's all the like the different track elements and all that kind of stuff, but you're not working with film. You're still working in a 3D environment. The way we do it is 3D environments with like 2D sprites it's kind of got that like storybook animation where like people's expression changes every few seconds. So what it was is that like at any point you can change where the camera is, you can change what the expression of the characters are, you can change where they're standing in the room, you can change the timing of the dialogue, where it comes in, you can change like basically any part about the scene while you're editing it, which is an insane level of control over a thing that you'd never have post production in any other avenue, in any other medium. So it was really, really cool to work on.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Man, I've been trying to convince, like, I got a friend, she's not into video games, but she plays one video game constantly, and it's Fallout 76, and I'm trying.
Wow, that's not the game I thought you were going to say.
No, not the game I would have. Someone being upset, like, I'm going to dude, she is obsessed with Fallout 76. Every D&D session, we get on, and she asks us, like, how are you guys going to try it? We're like, no, we're not playing Fallout 76. And every time we play Helldivers, she always references Fallout. And now that the Fallout show is out, you can bet she never shuts up about it now.
Yeah.
And frankly, that show is awesome. So I don't know if you've seen it.
The show was really good.
It was really good. But I've been trying to convince her to play Stray Gods because she's obsessed with musicals too. So I was like, oh my God, you'd love it. And she has not bitten. It's been 3 months. I've asked her like every couple of weeks. It's got such a good game. But it's so cool that you worked on that. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. I feel very lucky. It's very bizarre working So how I started working at Summerfall is I left my previous job. I just quit with nothing in place because I was like, I need to change. If I keep working at this job, I'm not gonna like do things that I want to do. So I applied, and I really wanted to work more closely with dev, like on the creative side of games development. And there was a job going at Summerfall for making TikToks, and I was like, look, I make TikToks.
Making TikToks, awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I make TikToks. I could do that. And so I started work. I applied. I interviewed. I got in my anxiety in the first interview. They would ask me about like, so do you know who David Gator is? And I was like, yeah, no, I love Mass Effect. I love all those games. It's like, he did not work on those games. Like, I did not.
Shit.
In the moment, I was like,
we've been made.
I've been found out as a fake gamer boy. But I essentially went to work there as making TikToks, and I didn't get that job. They were like, look, your editing is like is too clean. They said it's too clean for what we want for our TikTok, but we have this other role as a cinematic editor if you'd be interested. And I was like, that is what I would way prefer to do.
Yes.
So it was awesome. It was really cool, and they're such lovely people. Like all of them like top down as a company, like really, really great.
Yeah, it still blows my mind because my dad's an advisor for a journalism and mass communication school, and like he'll tell me like, because obviously he knows what I do because like duh, but he'll tell me like, oh yeah, I've got students who are like working TikToks for so and so company, and that's still like, to me that still boggles my mind. The idea that like you'll hire some 20-some to like make your TikTok, to make like your corporate TikToks, just I don't know, like it makes sense. Like obviously somebody makes those, duh, but like to the idea that like a human being is hired to do it is still crazy to me. I'm still living like an old man, I guess.
I mean, my prior to doing that game dev stuff and now doing YouTube, I was a social media manager for various different companies. But yeah, I did that for a very long time.
Yeah, if I don't end up doing YouTube, that's probably gonna be what I'm doing if I'm being honest. That's what I went to school for. So, oh boy.
Yeah, me too. But you know, it's fine. It's just I quickly realized that like I was never gonna be able to have the creative freedom I wanted to.
Yeah, no.
By working for a company, like for a corporation, is never gonna be able to get the ideas that I wanted to get out. So yeah, I had to leave.
My least favorite part of that like kind of corporate environment, I don't know if you experience this too, but my least favorite part is like they'll say like, we want you to like brainstorm some really creative ideas. And like I'll give them creative ideas. But I know they're not going to buy on any of them. Like, cause what I want to do is I want to give them the ideas I know they're going to go for, you know, basic social media campaign, you know, stand set up at this convention that's going to be local, you know, whatever, like collab with like maybe like this small business, or, you know, maybe if it's a school thing, we could contact some local elementary schools, you know, realistic stuff that we can do. Like, that's what I want to just tell them, but they won't accept that because they're like, well, we want you to think outside the box. I know you're not going to take outside the box though. You know it. I know it. We both know it. So why are we wasting time?
You're going to take no risks, but want some kind of big payoff to whatever it is.
Exactly.
Like, that doesn't happen. That cannot happen.
So frustrating.
I remember working for a game, and this wasn't my idea, but the game was a first-person shooter, very bloody, and it had blood in the title. And so we're like, for the launch, and it was going to be around a convention in Australia. We were like, what if we had a blood donation drive that was like promoting the game? And I was like, it's such a banger idea. It'll get like press and like it'll like drag in actual interest from people. And they're like, no. It's like,
no.
What could go? Like, it's such an overwhelmingly positive thing. It will create such goodwill. They're like, no. Nah.
And sometimes they won't even tell you the reason. They'll just say no. And you're just like, well, shoot. I remember like I was on the verge of quitting the job, and somebody like I don't know if this is like TMI, but like I was having an episode, and someone they were like telling me like, we're really happy with how you work. Like, you have a lot of great work ethic, and you work really well. You get the tasks done, and we're really grateful for that. It's awesome. But, like, you're not very enthusiastic. And I'm like, I held nothing back in that moment. I was just like, when I tell you on Wednesdays that I'm not at home because I'm at therapy, the reason I'm at therapy is because I'm depressed. I have depression. So, no. I'm not acting super upbeat at work all the time. Like, I was not in the mood, dude. I was like, bro, I'll get your stuff done. But if you want me to be way too smiley about it, that ain't gonna happen.
You gotta pay me like way more.
Oh yeah. You better up it way more. You want me to be all smiley, right? I hardly smile at this gig, and I work for myself. You should see what I'm editing. I'm cranky as hell, dude. It's bad. Now, what about you? Did you have a final straw with your social media marketing job?
No, not really a final straw, but it was like I said, like all the people that I worked directly with were lovely, but they were a branch of a very larger corporation that, again, just like couldn't do anything. And it wasn't so much as a final straw, but there was a realization. A really good friend of mine, really, really smart guy. Is one of those friends that you see maybe every 3 months at like a party or at like a birthday or something like that. And throughout like the last year or so I worked there, I would come up to him and he's like, how you going, man? And I'd be like, yeah, I work at this job. I really don't like, and I would like be like, talk about how like I was feeling like really flat and like unenthused, essentially. Yeah. And he was like, and like after like, 10 months of doing that, he's like, hey man, every time I see you, you seem really unhappy at your job. Maybe you shouldn't be there anymore. And I was like, oh, what? Because I'd kind of like gotten into the job during like right before COVID hit. So I was like so lucky to have it. I felt so lucky to have it. I was like working in the industry that I wanted to be in and all that. And then like, yeah, just like after, COVID kind of like eased off, I was just like, realized that I was so flat in it. But like it took me a good friend being like, hey, you keep complaining about this thing, maybe you should leave. And then I kind of started to try and look into things, and then I realized that I was never gonna have the energy to really pursue anything until I just left with nothing planned, no kind of safety net. I just kind of like quit. And it was really lovely. My boss at the time, I told her, and she was like, I think I just need to move on. And she was like, I totally understand. And she was really lovely about it. But yeah, that was the kind of final straw, I guess. It was just realizing that I had to go, and I wasn't going to be able to do anything until I just left.
Yep. That's completely. Yeah, you need a friend like that sometimes, man. Like that's why, like even as a dude who I self-describe as a hermit, I live alone and I prefer being alone. But like, man, you need people in your life. You need at least somebody to talk to be honest with. Just because like that's valuable as hell. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is a D&D podcast.
Yeah, it is. At some point.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I sometimes do like a half-assed attempt. Me and Fall talked about like college shit and like therapy.
Yeah. You know what this is? This is very much like a D&D game. My home game. I say my home game. My Monday night game that I do stream and stuff. But it's
a home game, it's a stream game.
Yeah, it's. I treat it very much like a home game. It's like we're very casual about it. But, the first half an hour of the stream is us just catching up and talking shit. And people are like, are you going to start playing D&D soon? And I'm like, this is what a home game is, man. This is like, you show up, you talk shit for like half an hour, and then maybe you'll roll some dice. Maybe. I'm like so like confused as to what's going to happen. Because like everyone, when we did our session 0, everyone basically showed up on time, which boggled my mind. Because when I play D&D with my friends... Like, I'm like, hey, let's meet up at 9 p.m. And, I got, like,
like half the group will show up, and then we'll just either play video games. We'll play Minecraft, or we'll play like Helldivers, or we'll just talk about like we'll complain about whatever was going on that day, and then after like an hour, then we'll play Dungeons and Dragons until 1 a.m. in the morning.
So this is very much the structure of that, We just talked nonsense for about an hour.
Hey, it was valuable nonsense. We might have helped somebody.
Valuable nonsense. The most valuable things are nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. So that might have been great. But here's the thing. I don't even know how to transition into Dungeons and Dragons other than just to go, what's the worst first session possible? Because that's like the list I've got pulled up. But like, we still have what? We got 5 minutes left in this segment. I don't know. Yeah. What made you want to start a dungeon? Actually, you know what? I am curious. You went from working at Summerfall to being a D&D YouTuber. Like, how did that transition even happen? Because everyone's got their own little tale on that.
Yeah, so it was a thing that I've been doing, like Dungeons and Dragons stuff and like content creation stuff in general as like a side gig for the last like 8 or 9 years. Like, I had a podcast. And then I had a D&D I had a gaming podcast ages and ages ago. And I had a D&D podcast that I DM'd for that is still going. And then, always had it as like a side gig, kind of side hustle thing that for the vast majority of the time I was doing it, especially the podcast stuff, made zero money. And then, so decided to start up the YouTube thing because I was like, the big struggle I found with podcasts, even though I poured so much of my love into it, it's like it's so hard to get people to discover a podcast. Like,
oh my
people
god,
are just
yes.
not.
Oh my god,
people have the 5-6 podcasts maybe that they actively listen to, and then it's so hard to get another one into that mix. So we found that was really difficult. And so when I was like looking at, I saw some video essay come up about like how good short form content is in getting in front of new people, because no other like YouTube long form videos, Twitch streaming, really, really hard, all that to get in front of new people. But all this short form stuff does that. And I was like, maybe I'll try my hand at it. And then I tried it for like a couple months, I was getting some success. And then I started doing like, the World Heritage Post stuff that I've been doing. And that blew up, which was really exciting. And like, very, very lucky too, because it's like I had a full-time job that I was doing, and like having to get out content regularly was always a hard, time investment to do. And so, and then it was a thing that was like kind of going in the background, and I was like, this could be something, but it's a big risk to just stop doing my job and just jump to YouTube. Yeah. Which is a very scary thought. And then when I worked at Summerfall, I was working from home the entire time. So suddenly I had, 2 extra hours that I wasn't commuting. I had all this extra time that I could like start to invest a lot of that in making videos more regularly. And then when my contract ended with Summerfall, which it was always like a limited time contract, I was like, I kind of just made the leap of like, I'm not going to look for something straight away. I'm going to see how I go, because I had like, a bunch of essentially leave saved up from my previous job that got paid out to me. So I could just have that little leeway time of like, what if I just focus on YouTube and we'll see how it goes? And it was really scary because I had to get monetized first. So I was like desperately trying to get monetized on my channel.
Bro, you weren't monetized before oh man. When I went full time, I had already been monetized for like a year. Damn, man. Whoa. You took a leap, man. That's crazy. Yeah. I respect that, though. I respect that.
And then it's worked out pretty well, I think.
No, I think that's awesome for you, man. Okay, we burned that 5 minutes. Okay, now I think now it's reasonable that we could get into the real D&D portion. Here, I'm gonna snap my fingers. This is Zach and Crispy from the future. We'll eventually talk about Dungeons and Dragons at the next timestamp, but we're talking about nonsense now, so enjoy that. And then cut to Zach and Crispy from the past. Anyway, now that we have done that little bit of time traveling, I think it's time. Zach, you read tons of D&D stories, but you know what we do here at Crispy's Tavern? We only read negative stories because we love drama. We love problems and only problems. So I got a thread right here. I got my little nerd glasses too, of the worst first session possible. So without further ado, let's get started with that. But all right, okay. So I'll Do you want to read the first one, or should I read the first one? Because I can send it into Discord.
I'm happy to.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Let me pull it up.
I'm gonna put it in the Discord chat. I've DM'd you.
I see. I gotta do my whole bit, right?
Jesse did his whole bit when we did subclasses, so yeah, you do.
After some kind of session 0, I prepared everything for today. I made all the characters the way they told me, and this is how I do it in actual when I'm reading the post. I fuck up like 17 times.
Yeah, me too. I got you.
So after some kind of session 0, I prepared everything for today. I made all their characters the way they told me to, and the way they would like them. I was reading the important stuff from the rulebook over and over again. Know everything about the adventure. First group and first time being a DM, I got the base set, and we wanted to play Dragon of Ice Spire Peak.
Oof.
I even did some rebalancing so they don't just die first time they're playing. I got snacks, music, handouts, everything.
And then the next bit, hold on.
Oh, no. But, well, no one showed up. Oh. Can the first session be worse than that? I was just really sad and wanted to vent a bit.
Oh my god. Bro,
sucks, man.
I remember
no one showed up.
There was
not even like a 1 or a 2.
It was this chick on TikTok who, like, high school girl. She posted like she had the whole room set up, lighting and everything. She had snacks set out. Her parents helped her out with everything, and no one showed up. I will forever. Her face in that TikTok is etched into my brain forever.
It's agony. It's actual agony.
Oh my god. I feel like you get the vibe of people are gonna show up or not, like during the session 0 though.
Yeah, for sure. But some people are just flaky and bad. Like, and they like
just suck.
They just suck, some people. So yeah, this is rough. And I hope that they get like a cool party that they can play with.
And have fun with. And enjoy Dragon of Ice Spike Peak with.
Yeah.
No, but like what was I about to say? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like my group, we're pretty chill about like when they show up. I don't really, like. I posted on RPG horror stories like recently, not because it's actually a horror story, just because I legitimately thought this was funny. I posted like a text conversation between me and my friend, redacted on my anonymous account. So I guess now you guys can deduce my Reddit account. Which I mean, if you do, good job, I guess. But the point is, like, in that text exchange, like, he texted me and is like, "Hey, buddy, hey, man, I'm gonna be like half an hour to an hour late. I have a wedding to go to." And I said, "So that means 2 hours, right?" And he was like, "No, maybe like an hour late. So it's gonna be 2 hours, right?" And he's like, "Okay, an hour 30." He was 2.5 hours late, which, like, I was fine with, because like we just played the session without him. It wasn't a big of a deal. I didn't even think it would show up. But when I posted that, people, like, there were like at least 3-4 guys in the comments. Most people were just like, haha, funny, that was cool. But a lot of the people in the comments were like, that is horrible. Like, that is so disrespectful and awful to the rest of your players. So it really just depends on the vibe of the group. But like, no one showed up. Hot damn.
Yeah, that's vile. That's like, I mean, the other possibility is you suck. Like, the DM sucks, maybe. Like
what'd you say at that session 0, man? Hot damn. What was that like?
maybe the DM sucks. And,
I don't think
and
so.
they all figured it out.
They seem sweet. I like stalked their Reddit account looking for the post, and it doesn't seem like there's anything alarming to me. Like, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, no. I'm sure they're fine. I was one of the players, and I'm trying to justify my actions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. Like, one time, seriously, this just happened. I had a Reddit story, like, I read, like, a 2.5-minute story, which is really short. Like, if I do a skit for that story, it's going to be a minute to a minute 30, which means that half of the time slot in that video is going to be taken up by the skit. That seems a little bit much for such a short story. So I was trying to come up with shorter skits, but I was like, is this even worth doing? I'd already recorded, so I was like, there were very few times where I'll record a story and then nuke it, because, like, that just seems like waste of time. But I was like, let me tour through this guy's Reddit history and see what they're like see if, like, that'll be my deciding factor. I immediately nuked the story 5 seconds later.
Oh, no.
That happened last night. So I was like, yeah, sometimes, man, that just goes down. All right, sometimes just be like that. All right. Someone top comment on this worst session possible post is, "That's rough, buddy. I'd have to say my worst session was probably the time I had a player pull a knife and threaten another player at the table."
Oh my god. Yeah, that's worse. That's
bad.
worse. That's worse. I was like, there's nothing could be worse than no one showing up, right? That's surely the absolute zero. But yeah, getting a knife pulled, I guess all that's worse than that is like getting a knife pulled on yourself. But
yeah,
that's
I will say, I've read 2 horror stories where that happened, and neither were posted by this guy. So it's at least happened 3 times.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's like the seriousness in which people take their made up avatar is so funny to me. Like, and like my whole life was invested into D&D. I take it somewhat seriously. But like, and I remember being, especially when I was like just starting, I remember I joined a home game at my housemate was having a home game with his friends, and I was like maybe 19 or 20, and I was so focused on my character coming across cool that I remember that being like, not like actively like thinking that, but like that was definitely what I wanted my character to be cool. I wanted a cool character that I was playing. And now that is so far from what I want that like it's alien to me. But yeah, I like, you know, I would never obviously pull a knife on someone, but that mindset of like my character is cool and then someone threatening that is threatening me personally, like my personality is a whole thing that people have got to like divulge themselves off, or they pull knives on people, you know?
Yeah, I can't say I've ever had a situation where like things escalate, but yeah, some people just get like really. I think I told Fall this story like on her episode, but like I kicked a guy out of my Dungeons and Dragons game because of like some out of game stuff and in game stuff. He was also a bad player, but it was mostly the out of game stuff. But what I told him was the in game stuff because I didn't want to like. It was something someone else told me. I didn't want to like snitch. You know, I ain't that guy. Okay, but I told him the in game stuff, and you know, did not like it. He did not appreciate that. But, you know, obviously, like, just because of how this dude was acting, like, I just stopped having this person in my life. And, yeah, like, years later, I'm talking years later, I'm sitting in, like, I'm sitting down to work and, you know, just doing my thing. I get a text over on Instagram. And I'm like, who the hell is texting me on Instagram? Like, what? So I check my Instagram DMs, and it's the guy. And he's like sent me like, he asked me how I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm working. I just say I'm working. And he freaks out. Like he's cursing me out, saying like, fuck off for that thing that happened with D&D and the friend group. No one talks to me again because of you. Like he basically blames me for having no friends. And it gets intense. He continuously messages me for months to the point where I like seriously consider whether or not this guy is legitimately stalking me because one of my friends spotted him near my place. Right. So I'm like, this is crazy. So yeah, sometimes people take these damn games way too freaking seriously. It was more than just a game that in that situation, but yeah, that was something.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those things that we always like joke about, like, oh, our characters are basically ourselves, and like, or like extreme versions of our certain personality traits. And I think that's definitely true. But I think when people get like that overlaps too much, they start to be like personally defensive.
It's called bleed.
Whenever something happens to their character.
It's a bitch.
That's like, yeah.
Yeah, I just that situation was crazy. Still didn't knock out the person who snitched on him though. Never do that. But anyway, hey, I got another one for you.
I killed a PC in literally the first hit of the campaign. I got the balance wrong. The bad guy rolled a crit and high damage, and we agreed to fudge it as down, but not quite out. That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think look, I've definitely had that. I've had 2 situations very early in a campaign where someone died, and the time that I didn't fudge it was bad. I didn't fudge it either time, and one of them felt wrong, and we probably should have done something else.
Yeah, one capping player characters just never feels good to me.
Yeah, it's just so I had like so in like one of the first times I DM'd actually it might have literally been the first time I DM'd. We were like I was taking over a campaign, and so we were in the midst of a fight. One of the people got downed. They rolled a death saving throw, failed, and then they beat the fight, and then like they killed the dude or whatever, and then like they were kind of rushing over to help, and it got back to his turn. And I was like, roll one more death saving throw. And he rolled a natural one. And he's like, what happens now? And I was like, oh, that means you permanently die. And then I was like, maybe like, and then it was like, oh, like we're all like super new. And it was like, we were stumbling over the rules. And I was like, oh, I gotta like, maybe you can go to a cleric and maybe they'll have something to like cure you. But then you go to the cleric, and I was like getting them to like, you got to get a diamond, and like, you know, made it into a quest. But it turned into the entire session in which the dead player couldn't play, basically, right? So it was maybe I should have fudged that, you know, as like a literally first time DMing. The second time, however, was the first bit of my my podcasted DM campaign, in which on our third session, I believe, the wild magic sorcerer rolled, you know, the option that means you just shoot a fireball at your own feet, basically. Failed the saving throw, rolled really high damage,
yeah.
and just instant nuked himself. Like went down to negative max HP. Just like we played it all by the rules exactly as we could, and he just was obliterated.
Yeah.
We're like, okay. And that was, however, very funny, and I'm glad I did it.
I actually, on Wild Magic, I actually replaced the chart with, I wonder, because I talked to, like, the famous Wild Magic person, Dingo Doodles, about this, and...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I've always replaced the chart with, like, themes. So basically, like, they can choose the theme of creation, destruction, defense, etc., transmutation, and then they roll randomly for that theme, and of which none of them are fireball on self. But like, I always like the idea that you can control it to a degree, so it's at least a little bit strategic. But like, I don't know. I don't know how. It's not like I'm surprised the idea doesn't get more popular. Like the homebrew that we saw on Home Brewery just doesn't have that many updoots. So I was surprised that it just doesn't get that much attention. Like the completely like random idea to me is just like was never fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I also like there's a Dale Kingsmill, another D&D creator. She has this also different take on wild magic sorcerers. Was that?
Also based in Australia.
Also based in Australia. She has a different take where it's like essentially you just like keep building up. Like every time you kind of strain your magic power, it keeps building up, and I think it's like, and then you just like roll a D100 every time you cast a spell, and like you're essentially increasing by percentages. Like every time you
that's how we did
push your magic.
That's how we did it. I wonder if that's where I got the idea.
As soon as you roll that, which is like the idea is like you roll that like once in a campaign, you accidentally roll it, and then like something major happens. Like you know, it creates like a planar rift. Like it's a little bit like the feature that the clerics have of like divine intervention, where it's like divine intervention is probably only going to happen once a campaign, maybe twice. It's like this thing is the same, where it's like this thing that slowly builds up throughout the campaign, and it's like you always feel like this like slight tension about it, and then eventually when you roll it, like this crazy outburst of magic happens. I was like, that'd be really cool as well.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity. What I was thinking you were talking about was like every time the sorcerer rolls a spell, the chance that wild magic happens gets higher and higher, but just like at the when it does happen, it just is normal wild magic. I just like wild magic happening more often, especially with a more strategic edge to it, just because I think that's cooler. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like a cataclysmic wild magic sorcerer event, that's also sick. Like I love that as like a campaign shifting thing. It's cool. But
it's cute.
Yeah. Do you want? I can grab the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I can read this one. It's a little NSFW, so I'm like, I don't know if I can do this one. Like, well, we would do it on horror stories in like a heartbeat, but like this ain't horror.
I mean, I don't mind.
Okay, you don't mind? You guys definitely don't mind.
I
I know my audience. You guys love this kind of thing. So anyway, worst first session was I and a really close female friend showed up to 3 people who had been playing together for a while. All right. I got stuff to say about that. Okay. While introducing her character to us, he starts describing in detail how she's tied up sexy bondage style, which made us think, what the heck? But then this greasiest, sleaziest looking mofo of the group immediately says, I'm going to assault her, which the DM responds with, well, she can't say no, and then they all start laughing.
Jesus Christ.
Hot damn. This is why, bro,
That's
when I jump into pre-established friend groups, my ass is careful.
Yeah, you got, like... if you're joining a campaign, it's like, especially of all dudes, and they've been playing for a while, there's a vibe. You got a vibe check that, because it's so common.
Just make sure they're normal dudes.
rancid vibes, you know.
Yeah, just make sure they're normal dudes before you jump too deep into that. Yeah, like I might be running an all-dude campaign soon just because, like, I don't know if my flight attendant buddy's going to be able to stick around. She'll probably be able to stick around, but who knows? But, like, yeah, I mean, there are perfectly normal groups of all dudes, but some of them, bro, some of y'all need to relax.
Yeah, it's like, it's very much my opinion that, yeah, of course, it's like, not every all dude group is bad, but every rancid, terrible group is definitely all dudes. Like,
dude, yeah, like there's like we've read some crazy ladies too, but yeah, like I've always I will hold this to account that like most of the time when I'm reading about like I'll be real, like this is why I like The Bachelorette, because when it's a bunch of guys, it's way funnier because dudes can be freaks. Because guys
weird story. I used to work with Matty J is his name. He was the bachelor. He was one of the bachelors in Bachelorette in Australia, and then he had his own season where he was the bachelor, and he came off the show and worked at the place that I was working at, and we like hung out for a while. Really funny dude. Really wild to hear about like the backstory of like the background stuff that's happening during a reality TV show and how like fucking unhinged it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my grandpa worked I don't know what it's like in Australia, but my grandpa worked I was looking through his portfolio cuz like he's an old man at this point. He's not exactly doing work deep into the 80s, you know what I mean? But like I was looking through the profile that he did cuz he did stuff for like Ridley Scott, and I'm like, sometimes I'll see a movie and they're like, "Oh my god, he worked on this." But I was looking through it and I saw The Bachelor, and he was like, "Look, son, the union gives you a job. You take the job." Apparently it was not a good job, man. Because reality TV, even to like a set dresser, apparently it can be just like, it can be crazy, man. That cycle. He wouldn't even talk about it. Well, oh my god, so many of these are just like lamenting the fact that no one showed up to that person's session because that sucks so much ass, bro. Someone did point out though, they said they made the characters for the players. I think that's a pretty early sign they're not going to show up. If they can't even make the characters, they're not coming. That's what I said.
Yeah, I made all their characters the way they told me that they would like them. Yeah, you gotta, like, people gotta buy in a little bit more than that.
Oh man, because if my thing is the homework is making the character. If you can't make the character, then we can't do this. It's just straight up isn't gonna happen, man.
You've got to figure out at least how your character works. I say that 2 of the people that I've played the game with for the longest time have barely a grasp of what the game is.
You know what? That's it. Be the way it be sometimes. Here you go.
It do. My worst involved a gigantic misunderstanding due to miscommunication. I invited some persons that I knew from work and some friend of friends over for some role-playing games where folks get together and have fun in a safe environment. No. The problem is that everyone but me thought that I was setting up group sex. Folks started hooking up before I realized what was going on. I'm sure others had fun, but for me, it ended up being a mess on the level of needing to hire someone to help me clean up afterwards. Now I make sure to let people know that RP isn't sexual in nature.
That is...
Holy shit.
My asexual ass is...
Could never.
Ear to ear.
Yeah. That's... That, like... Also, just that you... Maybe... Okay, there's either two things. Either they hit the random assortment of people in their life that would totally be down for just being invited to a group sex environment and like just running with that. Or the other alternative is that apparently a random smattering of people is very likely to engage in group sex if you just, leave the door open.
I just feel the words are hard. I invited some persons I knew from work and some friends of friends over. It implies there really just was a random smattering of people.
Yeah, that didn't know each other. We're like, all right.
I mean, folks get together and have fun in a safe environment. Role playing. I mean, I kind of get where they came from.
Surely there's tells though. If you walk in and code names is on the table, is on the coffee table. You're like, maybe we're not in for some, sexual intercourse. Maybe we're in for some nerdy rolling dice. But
sometimes communication really just be like that. Sometimes it really just does completely fall through. But yeah, that one is quite unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to like commentate on that, but I'm just at a loss. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think you just gotta be clearer in the communication. Obviously,
we're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
But the implications for what that means about like how easy it is to get people over for that is mind-boggling.
Where do you work?
Where do you work, man?
Where do you work? All right, but anyway, well, I'm sure it wasn't the guy's complete total fault, but I got another one from myself. Oh, this is another one. Oh, man, this sounds like my first attempt. I was really hyped to finally play D&D for the first time since I was not allowed to play when I was younger in the 90s, since a lot of kids had parents that were against it. I don't know, so I was looking forward to it. While the day comes and I'm sitting there waiting, will they decide to play but leave me out and not give me an update on the location? And I just sat there for hours waiting. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to play. Ooh, dang. That's cold. That's cold.
That's heartbreaking. That's like, I feel very lucky that like my first couple of like instances into D&D was with friends and like everyone was cool. If my first foray into D&D that had happened, I'd be like, well, that's it for me. Never going back. Like, I would just like, I would leave forever.
Never. I will say though, that's how I kicked out that dude who stalked me later. So
wow, you just
because I told him what was wrong and he did not appreciate it. And then he came. I was at the time I was gonna try out for regional jazz band, which is like, it's a process, and I have to.
I've watched Whiplash. I get it.
That's actually so fun fact, a big reason why I don't play anymore is because I had a Whiplash-esque. I mean, the guy didn't hit me or anything.
Oh, really?
But I had an awful director. I told Jesse about this, but I had a jazz combo director who he wasn't that much of a dick, but like the moment that solidified, like, I can't do this, he made me stand up in front of the band and say, like, you are the reason that we are not progressing. It is you.
Holy fuck.
I was
that's not okay.
And I was the youngest in that group by like 5 to 6 years. So like,
Jeez.
I don't know what the guy was expecting when he let me in, but like, yeah, I guess I don't know if he just wanted a target or whatever. But I saw him again at the regional practice. I went to the regional auditions. I was walking up the stairs and I hear, "Hey, my God-given name," and I'm like, You would not believe how fast I moved up those stairs. I ran. You should have seen me. Carrying a heavy-ass saxophone, I was moving. But I can't watch Whiplash more than once. I've watched it once, and I'm like, I can't watch that again because it was too familiar.
Yeah,
like,
no. That again, sucks, man.
I never got, like, the guy never, like, hit me or did anything illegal.
Well, I mean, like, Whiplash is so over the top, but, like, someone half as bad would be the worst person you've ever met.
Awful.
Like... Yeah,
I understand why jazz players
fellow sax players, let's go.
Oh my God, you played sax? Which one?
Yeah, dude.
Which one?
I mean, I didn't play it well, but I played it.
Which one? Was it alto, tenor?
Alto.
Ah, same. I still got my horn. Yeah. It's the most expensive thing in this apartment. Sad days. Yeah, you go. Sorry.
My brother is in a band, and he was like, "Hey, do you have like that saxophone still?" And I was like, "Please, let it go to a good home. It's not being used."
Yeah, so. my poor horn. I need to use it again just because it's Jesus. My sometimes Bluetooth just stops working. I have like an EMP goes off. But yeah. What was I about to? I was going to say something. Oh right, yeah. What happened was I was practicing for regionals. And the guy who this is after I told him, like, dude, there are a lot of people in our group who don't like you. Like, there are people who aren't coming to the table because you're there. Like, I don't know how. And then after he did that, he walks in while I'm practicing. I have the music stand in front of me. And he takes my sheets off the stand, folds it down, puts a laptop on, and is like, hey, I want to talk to you about League of Legends lore that you could integrate into your D&D campaign. It's in that moment when I realized you have to go.
Yeah.
You need to be
doing a thing.
Yeah. It's League of Legends lore that drove me over the edge. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I got the audition in like a week. So if I don't have it by this point, I don't have it at all. But like, I want to practice. Like, come on, man. And this guy just wasted 30 minutes of my time talking about, keep in mind, I have never played League of Legends in my life.
Oh my God.
It's so...
I mean, there's some people that just cannot see past themselves. And I don't think... And I think those kinds of people are drawn a lot to D&D. Because they're like, it's an audience of people that have to listen to me. And it's like they are drawn to D&D and they are the worst kinds of people to play.
Yeah. Or in my opinion, worse to DM.
Oh, yeah, for sure as well. Yeah, a lot of people have that mindset and are drawn to DMing. Like, it's a power fantasy for them. And it's like, you're going to have to, like, you should pay for their therapy. Like, you should pay through your player's therapy, which you will absolutely incur.
The last text that guy sent me was telling me that I'm the reason he's going to therapy. Which, like, you're welcome.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think we've just done 30 minutes of that. That was fun. I think we covered some good topics here. Yeah, we did a good job.
Yeah.
We might have helped some people, changed some lives. I don't know.
And hey, if you need to, go to therapy.
Or go to therapy before your DM makes you, apparently. But in any case,
or before you DM. Depending on the kind of person you are.
Not a significant chance that he watched. Like, the reason he started texting, because he stopped texting me after like a month of straight text. He stopped. He started again because of JoeCat. So maybe he watches you. And JoeCat, because I brought JoeCat on this show. So if he watches you, maybe we'll be back.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all connected, baby. But yeah, I think with all that being said, I think it's time to move on to our final segment. It's time for Thing of the Week. Hit the thing. All right. Yeah, it's done. The thing lasts like 2 seconds.
Okay. Oh, sick. It was great, though.
It's a great little thing. But, Zach, do you want to start with your Thing of the Week?
I think my thing is and I'm not sure if this is maybe everyone's thing right now, but like X-Men 97, so good, man.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And I'm so surprised at how good it is. Because
I knew it would be good, but I didn't think it would be this good.
Right? Like, I watched the original X-Men show. It was on Friday afternoons when I came back from school. It was on Cheese TV, and it was the coolest thing ever. I remember being so excited for it. All the themes and everything went completely over my head. I was like, Wolverine's cool, he has claws. That was as far as my thought process goes. Watching this, it's so funny how much they got the hammy 90s quality to the dialogue. Like, everyone talks in, like, ridiculous caricatures, but they're saying real-ass shit. There are some cold-ass bars that Magneto says, and I thought they were like, I thought he was quoting something. He said, I can't remember the line, but when he talks, it's like incredible. Like, he has some bars, everyone talks, their themes are so obvious and present and well handled, despite being so hammy and over the top as well.
Storm glassed a desert. She glassed a desert.
And then, like, tornadoed it?
Omega
Sick,
level
man.
threat. Like, dude, oh my god. Amazing.
Like, so scary that she made a glass tornado, and then she uses it against robots, which was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, the fact, like, imagine her using that against people. Like,
yeah, they're all
holy
dead.
Shit. They're all dead in the worst way imaginable.
Yeah,
like,
and
cut to death a million times.
this
by
just
glass.
makes me more bitter because, like, the X-Men films are really good. Like, I rewatched the first two. They're good movies. I really like Days of Future Past too. I think that those are, like, those three movies. I'll go back and rewatch them and be like, these are good X-Men films. A lot of them are not great, but these are great. But this show is what makes me really bitter that I don't think we ever hear anyone say, to me, my X-Men. It would be so cool.
Yeah.
This is what makes me bitter. We
It
never
was
hear
sick. And, like, you never get, like, I'm glad that for the first time ever, we're getting a live action Wolverine costume. Because it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be this edgy, like,
Black.
super serious thing. Like, it can be, and somehow it helps the fact that they're dealing with, like, big issues like, you know, equality and racism and, LGBT issues that are so obvious with some of the characters, where it's like, but they're also being super hammy and, like,
it's great.
with it.
The balance is
it
awesome.
somehow never seems like inappropriate.
Yeah, the animation is also just incredible. The
so good,
dialogue
man.
is so good. Oh, it's such a great show. But yeah, anyway, so my thing of the week. My thing of the week is a song. I have been replaying Cyberpunk 2077 because I did a playthrough on my PS5. And while I enjoyed it, it was clear that it is not the original. It's a port. So I decided to get on PC.
Oh, yeah.
And I've really loved it. But the music of that game is incredible. Never Fade Away, Phantom Liberty, I Really Want to Stay at Your House. These are legitimately incredible songs. Like, the end credits version of Never Fade Away, goosebumps every time that bass hits. Amazing. Like, so good. What? Why is it so good? Phantom Liberty, like, all right, I actually liked No Time to Die by Billie Eilish. I thought it was pretty good. The song that's played in Spectre, I don't know if do you watch James Bond films?
I haven't seen the recent ones, actually. No.
Yeah, I like my dad loves, like, Goldeneye's like one of my favorite movies ever. But I watched Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. Skyfall's got a good song because I actually kind of like Adele, and then Spectre's forgettable. I like No Time to Die, but Phantom Liberty from Cyberpunk blows all of those out of the water. It's the best Bond song that's not in Bond. It's such a great tune. So yeah, every single piece of almost the entire Cyberpunk soundtrack is legitimately incredible. You're probably going to hear some of it when you play with me in D&D, but
hell yeah, dude.
But yeah, like, it's so good. Even if you don't play the game, I cannot recommend at least the radio songs enough because they're just legitimately great pieces of music. But anyway, I think that's a wrap. All that's left is to roll out that red carpet. And hey, the lights are red too. Zach, what you got going on this week? You got any new videos coming out? Got big projects? Got stream going on? What's going on, man?
Regular videos, short once every 2 days. I should actually tomorrow, my second, we were talking about Fallout and myself. Our video together is coming out will be out by the time this is out. So if you go look at the One for All, the Deerstalker channel, my little skit together will be out on there.
Hype.
And just like regular videos on my channel.
Yeah.
Nothing too wild coming out. I'm working on some stuff long term. The big video that I really liked doing last year was this D&D but real video, which was like replacing all the dice rolls with like
stuff.
a physical challenge.
Yeah.
Which was really fun to do. I really want to do it again, but doing it again is going to require some like legwork. So I'm putting in that legwork now. So it's a slow burn, but hopefully that'll come out.
I am so
eventually.
excited, dude. That's going to be awesome. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please do leave a like. If you want to see more of our content, then you can check out our RPG Horror Story series where we talk about the best, the worst of Dungeons & Dragons. And while you're there in the cards, subscribe to Crispy's Tavern to get more of our content as it comes out. And finally, if you want to leave your own thoughts, you can go down in the comments down below. If you can't think of a comment, leave the comment. Oh, jeez, I didn't even think of like a comment they could leave. Speaking Giants, let me know you made it to the end of the video. That right there. You can leave that. In essence, like, comment, subscribe. We will both see you all next time. Farewell.
Bye forever.
You'll be back.